city will burn, I'm gonna build one high.
Greetings, fellow Empyreans. I am Ashtarothi, and I am back, baby. How's it going, guys? We are, in fact, back. It has been a 4-day weekend, unprovoked. Sorry. No, on Friday, it was my fault. I actually completely slept through my alarm, and my son had to stay home from school. And then he actually got sick a little bit on, well, he got a migraine on Sunday. And then he had, he of course had school off yesterday for Martin Luther King Day. So we're back. We're back. And I'm sorry I didn't get to do my stream on Friday. But here we are. We got it now. What's up, Dutch Gunner? So today I want to cover two basic things. I want to first cover the Red Stargazer event that is starting in 2 days. And I also want to cover what I call the Since You've Been Gone, where I have a list right here of all of the different major things that have changed in the game in the last decade or so. All of the major systems that you may need to know about as a person who once played this game and now are coming back now that scarcity's over, or uprising is happening, or faction warfare is good again, or whatever it is that's bringing you back to Eve now, which I know there's a lot of you. I wanted to make this video so that way you don't get caught with your pants down. All right, so that's the two goals for today. But before we do that, please indulge me a little opportunity to brag just a little tiny bit. Yesterday was fucking fun. Oh no, I swore within the first 5 minutes of the video. We're all gonna get demonetized. Ah! All right. So, the state has been getting it in their head that they're winning now, just because they took a few systems the other day. Never mind the fact that it took them several months to push these systems up to a point where they were vulnerable to be attacked. Yeah, I love the Marshal chilling in the back, right? But like, okay, they take a couple systems, and that feels good for them, and everybody's like, oh my god, why is Calmill always winning? Well, let's look at this, okay? First of all, when the war zone first started, when Uprising happened, this whole area was just totally chewed up. We had like 5 or 6 systems at most, right? So finally they managed to take, what is it? Hazmajala, Sugerento, I think Pine, and the big one was Oix, okay? Of those 4, the only ones that we were actually fighting over was Oix, right? And it took them, as they even admitted, 6 months to take Oix. Finally, the other ones, though, Suge, Haz, and all these, if you notice, actually doesn't change the war zone at all, right? Hazmi was a Galente frontline, and now it's a Caldari frontline. The only thing that's different is that Hysteria is not a frontline anymore. Like, there's a couple of extra command outposts, but the front lines did not move with any of those victories, which I think is really important, right? You know, taking Pine doesn't do anything if Nisua is already there, because Oin is still a front line. We just need to defend Oin. So this comes down to yesterday, where Naga and Oin and a few others were starting to get pushed up. Naga was at 56% when we started, and we decided that that wasn't acceptable. And so me and a bunch of our friends started getting together, and we fleeted down in Naga all day yesterday, and woo-wee! Let me tell you, like, you want to talk about faction warfare being alive? Let me show you this. This is my brag. Ready? Here's my kill board from yesterday. All right? This is just yesterday. Ready? We have Griffins. We have Brutix Navy issues. We have Ferox Navy issues. We've got Algoses. We've got a Hyperion. We've got all kinds of silly things that were out there. I lost a VNI, a couple of Catalyst Navy issues. It was a good time, all told. And in the end, we managed to bring down that system by almost 20% by the time we were done, which in far as contested values goes is monumental. I really appreciate everybody who was willing, who came out yesterday. And let me tell you, this is just the beginning. Hey, thank you for that, Pew Pew. So if you want to get in on this, I had 40 kills yesterday by itself. If you want to get in on this, then you need to join Aderon Robotics and the Convocation of Empyreans. We are defending the Southern War Zone against the growing Caldari threat. The Gal Mill has really started to come together, and this whole rumor about how Cal Mill is winning. Let's look at the numbers, okay? Let's just look at the numbers real quick. And I know this might sound like propaganda or that shit, and maybe it is, but you know what? I am so sick and tired of like when the PCU goes up, not a beep. If the PCO goes down by even a tick, everybody freaks out that Eve is dying. If we take 10 systems from the Caldari, barely a peep. Nothing but excuses. They take 3 systems, the Caldari is winning. Like I don't like it. So here we go. Let's look at whether or not the Caldari are winning, okay? So let's look at the statistics really quick. The Gallente have 42,000 people, while the Caldari have 51,000 people. So the Caldari are almost about a quarter more people than the Gallente. This has universally always been true because Gallente people voluntarily get locked out of JITA, which ends up, for better or worse, whether or not it's a real problem or not, does stop people from joining the Gallente and encourages people, including especially alliances like, say, a certain Nullsec alliance whose mascot is a dinosaur, decides that, you know, faction warfare is a great place to make money, but they don't want to get locked out from JITA, so of course they join Caldari. So Caldari has this huge number of people. But let's look at this. Kills yesterday. They had 326 kills. We have 516 kills. About 30% more kills for a quarter less of the people. Kills last week, same thing. 2,400 for the Caldari, 3,800 for the Gallente. Victory points. Victory points is how much progress they've made, right? This is where the winning comes in. The Caldari got 99,000. The Gallente got 95,000. You might be like, oh my God, that's actually, you know, 99,000 is more than 95,000. But think about it. Once again, a quarter of the people and almost a 30% death and almost even victory points. You think that's the Caldari winning? Okay. All right. Enjoy your narrative. I'm going to enjoy killing some squids. So that is where we're at with the Warzone. It is red hot right now, and we are having a lot of fun. So, kills versus playing the objective. A battle as old as video games. Exactly. And oh my God, the people that are saying like, oh, Warzone control has no point anymore. Dude, Warzone control has no point anymore. I don't need a fucking tier. I don't need my ISK to go up to own the systems, to want to own the systems. You know why I fight? You know why I fight? I really like the color green, and I don't like the color blue. So I want this map to have more green and less blue, and I don't care how much ISK I make doing it. I'm willing to spend ISK to make it happen, because this is war. That's what this is all about. So if you think that this has no point because over 1 million ISK per minute is too little for you, and Warzone control doesn't have a point, then enjoy. I will be having fun and killing everybody who comes in, along with my friends. So do what you want with that, I guess. All right. I had something else to talk about. Oh yeah, red. Let's talk about. Let's get a little bit more serious. That was just my that was my fun for the day. I appreciate the indulgence. Caldari are better than the Amar. That's possible. I don't really judge those two. All right. So we found out from CCP that with the Chinese localization, there's going to be like a Chinese New Year celebration. For those of you who don't know, because you don't play Final Fantasy XIV, this is the year of the rabbit. Okay? So everything's kind of rabbit themed. Now, I had thought that this could be a live event. And it very well could. There's still some small hints that this could actually be like a thing to do in space. However, I kind of want to temper everybody's expectations, okay? So, first and foremost, we have... oh, shoot, I messed this up a little bit. Hobo Leaks. Where is it? No! Oh, yeah, this is... Hold on. Give me a second. Open image in new tab. Oh, fuck. All right, fine, whatever. This is the splash screen for the login campaign for this upcoming event, okay? So here's where things get kind of curious and where I don't quite know where it's going to go, all right? So we have two different kinds of skins that were put into the game. And so we're going to have to see what we think about that, all right? Because we don't know where they're going to come from, but I have some suspicions. So first things first, we have utilities, notepad. What happened? Where'd it go? Gosh darn it. I had them all here. I promise. I did my prep work. Whatever. Serenity. And you'll see why I called it Serenity in a minute. Okay, so these are the new skins that were added into the game to Tranquility today. And they kind of try to hide it from us a little bit. By ensuring that they have... they hold on a second. Yeah. They patched it to both Tranquility and Singularity at the same time. So it doesn't show up in the diff. You have to actually look at each individual patch to see that the difference actually happened. So a little bit sneaky, but probably, I don't know. I can't necessarily say that it's purposeful. But let's look at these, okay? The description of the skin says... Archer spiritualism takes many forms. Archer is a Caldari group and influences many aspects of their culture. But aside from the monastic orders of the Archura, Sacio 3, it rarely approaches the level of organized religion. The Stargazers are an example of a particular form of popular Archer spiritualism that eschews supernatural revelation in favor of philosophy that aims to understand the world through observation and contemplation of the stars. Using visionary interpretations based on a kind of as above, so below thinking, the Stargazers emphasize awareness of the surrounding universe and understanding of the living world beyond itself. Some seasons are traditionally considered more prosperous, or propitious than others for viewing certain types of stars. The season that falls in early of YC year, which can be shifted around relative to the standard calendar, is called the Season of Red Stargazing, which is the name of the event that we saw in the strings the other day, and considered a proper time for viewing red color stars. The season is also one of many festivals, although the Red Stargazing Festival is particularly popular. So the question that I have is this going to be a major event, or is this going to be just like a login reward? Let's look at the skin itself. First and foremost, I'm digging the skin. Okay, you get this cool bunny hologram on it. It's shiny. There's another bunny over here on the logo point, and you can see there's actually a particle effect if we watch it long enough. Yep, it just went by, but we'll have to wait a little bit. It's actually relatively slow. I hope they speed up how often it happens. But we'll just watch right here. It took me a few times to catch it the first time. Oh, there it is. I'm right. It was up here. It was up here. I don't know if you guys saw it, but it's just like a square. It's a single square that just kind of goes into the back. And that's whatever. That's fine. They have it for all of the major pirate battleships, including the Marshal, which is kind of odd. So here's the Balgorn. It also gets me a little bit worried. Here's the Rattlesnake. Now, this is not the only skin associated with this that is here, because the thing that's important to note, though, is that this skin is not these skins. These are not the same skins. So that's clue one. Barghast. Oh, man. The Barghast one looks great. So my guess at this point is that there may not be an event, like an event, but there's a login reward. And it's also very, 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 very possible, extraordinarily possible, that these are Plex Pack skins again. Which, let me tell you, if we get yet another good Nightmare skin that can only be gotten through Plex Packs, I'm going to lose my goddamn mind. CCP needs to just give me one of these Nightmare skins before I lose it. Every good Nightmare skin. Look at this. Premium pack. Premium pack. You can buy that one. Premium pack. Never going to get it. The same one that everybody else has. Like, they've been coming out with all these good skins for the Nightmare specifically, but they all are part of premium packs. Like, if you buy a bunch of Plex or whatever, which sucks. And then there's the Marshal. This is another reason why we think that it's going to be a premium pack thing, potentially, because, like, would they do a Marshal as a login reward? I don't know about that. This really feels like something that they would put at, like, the $200 tier of the premium pack or something like that, right? So, yeah. But there's actually another set of skins that are much harder to find. Because they have the word Serenity in them, which makes them the same as all of the other Serenity skins. But we'll go through this because they only have the word Serenity in it. They don't. So, like, my Serenity, for those of you who may not know, is the server. Is the Chinese server, right? But remember, this whole thing is about the Chinese coming here, right? So, yeah, the last time they did a Marshal skin, it was through a Plex Pack. Exactly. Well, yeah. I mean, well, there's the Marshal Plex Pack, the Fireblade Gorilla. That's the one you're talking about. I guess you're right. Did they ever come out with the Black Ice Derailers? I don't think they did. Did they ever come out with Black Ice Derailers? Man, I'm keeping my eye on these guys. Also, that's a really cool blue thing on there. All right. Don't get distracted. All right. So, and these skins. So this is the Caracal water. There's a water. There's a. Hold on. Let's do it this way. There's a water skin. There's a Toral skin. Circle. Yet another thing I should have done ahead of time. I was mostly focusing for the next segment, to be honest. Dang it, where is it? Electric. Also, the electric one has two, doesn't have a permanent one. There is no permanent Omen electric skin, which is really weird. Maybe that'll change. Cloud. And I think there's one more. Flame. That might be it. Oh, splatter. Okay. There might be more. I might have missed some, but let's look at these. I would like the don't get distracted Ash emote. I'm going to write that down. I'm going to get distracted by that. Don't get distracted emote. All right. Yes, I know. We're going to get to the... Hey, Firefly. How's it going, man? 07 to you. All right. So, this is the reason why I bring this up, okay? This is the Caracal Serenity water skin, okay? And if we look... Bingo. That's it. So, this is the skin that is in the login reward splash page, right? Boop, 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 boop. All right. So this suggests to me that these skins, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I bet you there's an 8th if we look closely. I bet you there's an 8th that I missed. I'm going to guess. Just because that way it with the login reward, right? There'd be the Omega track and the Alpha track. And so like the Omen, Rupture, Vexer, Caracal would be the Alpha tier. And the Cinnable, Gila, Vigilant, Ashimu. There it is. It's right there. Ashimu. So that would be the premium track, right? Doesn't that seem kind of logical? Okay. So let's keep on looking. Yeah, there's new Abyssal ones, but that's just going to be a reward for new Abyssal Proving Conduits. So here's this, the Cinnable Swirl. And I kind of like these, although I feel like that's a little low res. I feel like people are going to not like that, right? Like, I feel like it should be a little bit crisper. It's really showing... I'm not sure if I like it. The Gila. Once again, it's like, it looks good when you're zoomed out, but close, it's kind of meh, right? Now then, the Omen, which is only, like I said, I don't find a permanent one, does have this cool effect. So this is legit. I mean, this is going to be your new electrical Omen, right? Like, this is your electric Omen Abyss Runner. This one actually legitimately looks good. Like, look, even, I mean, it's still a little bit fuzzy, but, like, it looks so much better as far as a projected texture or whatever. And then there's the particle effect. It really feels like the Omen is the standout one, right? Pay Plex to get HD textures. Oh, that'd be awful, wouldn't it? Rupture Serenity Cloud. This one looks pretty good. I ain't gonna lie. I like this one. This one's good. I dig it. Yeah. Although a lot of the other skins seem to have lots of, I mean, like I have skins with a bunch of detail and it doesn't look that fuzzy in other things. Here's this, and this is, of course, once again, it's that one, right? There it is. And Vigilant Serenity Splatter. This one's kind of whatever. It's fine. I certainly wouldn't buy it, but it's fine. I'd be much more worried about it if I didn't have Heart Surge. But, like, look at this, right? Like, those triangles are crisp. Those triangles are crisp as hell. You know? Like, even these. The spots aren't fuzzy. I don't understand. And then a Shimu Serenity Splatter. This one, I think, has the wrong particle effects. And again, it's fine. It's fine. They're fine. They're fine for login rewards. And so I think that these are going to be the login rewards, and these red Stargazers are going to be the Plex Pack ones, potentially. All right. So that's what we're probably going to be getting in 2 days. Or that's what's coming in 2 days. I don't know whether or not there's going to be an in-game event. There is still one thing in the files that has my attention, which is that they did put in like a bunch of QA stuff, like they put in a QA salvager and a QA salvaging rec and all sorts of stuff like that. But I think that was associated with some of the fixes that they put into salvaging in the MPE last week or whatever. However, there was an item. Actually, not even an item, actually. They put in a whole new flag. Let's look at this. Hold on, let me get dark mode going, if I can. No? No? We just don't, we don't feel like doing dark mode now? Okay, great. That's cool. All right. If we go back... Here is the flag that gets me. They put in a new attribute into the game. So this isn't just like a QA item, right? Like they put in the QA stuff and whatnot, but then they put in this attribute. Flag all as suspect on loot rec. All players will be flagged as suspect when looting a rec with this attribute. So regardless of who kills the thing, anyone who loots from it will be suspect. So I'm thinking that if you want to do an event that involves luck and is associated with rabbits, this is the kind of thing that could be potentially used. Like, imagine if there's an event where in systems with red stars, there are these special recs that you can go and loot things from, but it gives you a suspect flag. That way, even in high sec, it's dangerous. I think that could be something interesting. I don't know if that's what they're going to do, but they could, right? So But other than that, I have very, very, very little to go off of that would lead me to believe that there's an event, like a full-scale things to do in-game event coming in 2 days. So I'm going to say it's probably a login reward with some Plex packs, but it could possibly have more to it. We'll have to see. Regardless, we have next month with the Guardian Gala, which will probably be a wormhole associated event with the Angel Cartel and the Serpentis to sink our teeth into. So there's more coming soon, either way. But yeah, there's this. There's also, just to remind you, the next faction campaign and the next beats within the story that we're kind of waiting on right now. So those could happen at any time. So this would actually be a good time to do that as well. So we'll have to see. It is worth noting that like today would have been the major patch for the week. So the idea of them doing like a significant patch in 2 days as opposed to on the 24th would be extremely unusual. Any other questions, comments, concerns about that topic? Otherwise, we can get into the main event for the day. All right. Oh, somebody is mentioning Below the Asteroids being copyrighted. Yeah, I've been being struck by claims on Below the Asteroid and other Eve music for the last couple of weeks. I've been in contact with CCP. It seems like this is not intentional. How do you find red star systems? It's going to be interesting. You can go to the map. It's actually relatively hard to find all of the stars of a certain type. But you can go here to your map and change it to actual color. And then you can find red stars, right? Like, I actually don't know if that's a red star or not. But like this one right here. Oh no, those are Triglavianly red stars. That is another good question. Are they going to go? Oh, that's a pink star, I think. Either way, I don't know how it's going to play out. All right. I just know that I just know what it says so far in the thing. However, I will say that I will be almost certainly streaming on Thursday and or Friday. So we'll be talking about all that stuff once we know more details. Hey, what's up, Ika? What do you think about the increased activity of the border police in Mimitar Mar systems? I mean, it's the same thing as the what's been happening with the Galente Caldari, right? Like, this has been ongoing for a while. I don't know if there's a new additional increase in activity, but the Amar are very likely going to make their next move very soon. You know, they've been scouting out stars. They claimed success with their previous project. Yeah. And more importantly, the Mimitar probably have the best idea of anybody what exactly is going on outside of the Amar and Caldari. So, yeah, I can't imagine that that's going to remain stable for very long, right? Larger fleets roaming on the system since a few days ago on both sides. We should keep an eye out for new structures, new construction yards and stuff too. They did put in all of those HQ sites, but we haven't seen them yet in the game that I know of. Okay. Are we ready? Let's chill out for a minute. I rushed into that. I was pumped up for today, man. How's everybody else been? How's your guys' this weekend go? Do you think that CCP will ever have the empires enter back into open warfare? I think that that's, yeah. I mean, it all depends on your definition of open warfare. We are either at that point or past that point already, right? Because there's active Navy and aggression against each other. They are actively telling their navies and their militias to ignore Concord. And Celis Agard violated the Militia War Powers Act to take the constellations, the 2 constellations with Intaki. So it's hard to say that they're not at war at this point. They're tenuously grasping at any indication of peace. You did incursions. Violated or redefined. Broke the agreement. How about that? Yeah. We have... What is it? We have changed the parameters of our agreement. Pray we don't change it further. Yeah, pretty much that. But I mean, Kaldari own nullsec space now. Like, what the is going to happen? Such as shelling planets in Elder Fleet 2.0? Yeah. I could definitely see, like, the explosion is happening, but you know, have you seen the Uprising trailer? So this is the system of Turner. I was there.
The region is still coming to terms with the catastrophe in the system of Turner, with devastation on a staggering scale.
Initial estimates of fatalities are reported to be in the millions, with complete loss of life on Turner 1.
Evidence points to the catastrophic failure of the Amar-built stellar transmuter, sparking condemnation across New Eden.
Further increasing tensions between the Minmatar Republic and the Mar Empire are now at breaking point, witnessed by a sharp escalation of skirmishes.
Diplomatic negotiations between both sides have all but collapsed.
This part broke my brain when I watched it. Holy shit.
Broadcasting live with shocking scenes of Federation ships invading Intaki and neighboring systems. This is a major developing situation amidst the current turmoil in New Eden.
My fellow citizens, the time has come for the Federation to rise and liberate Intaki, to recover what is ours. These worlds and the people of
The Kaldari state are being slaughtered in this outrageous invasion. We stand ready to confront any aggression against the state, and the combined
military of the Minmatar Republic will repay our enemies in kind for this mass murder, for it is the
sacred obligation of every subject of Holy Amar to reclaim the stars and rise up for your empire.
Fucking such a good trailer, man. Oh my god, I love it. Some type of movie or series? I know, right? I agree. They did make a comic book. So yeah, are the enemies or are the empires going to war? I'll put it this way. CCP said that they have, like, I think 4 tracks, like 4 different, like, major themes that they're working on within their teams that are just going to continue to go forward for the next several months to years. One of those tracks is literally titled Empires at War. So good luck. The new Caldari one was really good. The Minmatar one was good too, but we're not talking about there's a difference. There's the Minmatar one, which was the one that was released with all 4. But then there's the Caldari one, which was released. There was the normal Caldari one, which everybody saw during the Caldari Union Day. But then there was this one.
Cold wind remembers the darkest of days. When the rains of our world became laced with fire.
That's the Calichiota Mountains, by the way. So that's Arturo below it.
Warrior's fierce duty seared a path to our future. The ultimate sacrifice made in blood and steel.
This is the greatest war hero in Caldari history.
We remain Caldari, no matter the cost. Everything we are, we owe to our ideas. They fuel our rise as the heart of a raging storm. A beacon of strength and a shrine to our identity. Honor and preserve your family, your corporation, your state. Without hesitation, without remorse.
Yeah. So, the thing about this one is, like, this is what I mean when I say that the Caldari are kind of dabbling with fascism again. They're getting a little bit fashy. But, like, what he's saying here, like, look at this. He's talking about they're bringing honor and whatnot. This whole thing is about how great this dude is, right? Remember, this guy, what we're witnessing here is him crashing this carrier into Gallente Prime in order to try to save, or in order to buy time for the Caldari to be able to escape Caldari Prime back in the first Caldari Gallente War. So this is one of the most heinous acts of warfare that has ever happened between the Gallente and the Caldari, and they celebrate it. This is the most well-known person. He is the first name that every Caldari learn in their in their formation as when they're children. So their entire civilization is based around this concept. 2 years ago, I think, they militarized their entire civilian forces, and they've been growing ever since. This guy who took over is a populist who got famous by saving Samanuni from the Triglavians, and has now taken power as the previous CEP chairman was almost assassinated by blowing up the CEP tower. And now this guy has stepped in and stopped all of the protests. There were massive protests going on because of squandered money and the failure to defend against the Triglavian invasion. This guy shows up, ends the protests, militarizes the people, and now has united them and has taken not only Athenoon, but has now secured 2 constellations within the syndicate. Like, real shit's happening, guys. Setonia, the particle effects on the Stargazing skins scale based on your ship speed, by the way. So the faster you go, the more particles the actual skin with the micro warp drive on looks good. Excellent. That's also cool. That's also why there aren't very many particles when you see it in the ship preview, because there aren't many when you're at 0 m/s. That makes sense. That makes sense, Setonia. Thank you for that clarification. I'm just worried about whether or not it's going to only be available through Plex packages. But I'm sure you probably won't confirm or deny that. We'll find out in a couple days. If I wasn't Matari, I'd be Kaldari. Yeah. All right, fine. Since we're watching the good ones, let's watch the Mimitar one too.
Let me tell you who we are. We have a legacy. A legacy that shaped us. A legacy that we've built. We united on this mother world. We rose together as the 7 tribes. One people forging our future. They came to destroy it.
The Day of Darkness.
They tried to break us, divide us, to scatter the tribes. But we fought back. We rose as brothers and sisters, seizing victory from the vile chains we broke. And today we stand. We stand as the 7 tribes of Matar. We stand as Min-Matar.
Let's fucking go! Hell yeah, guys. All right. Cool. Is Shakur a hardliner? He seems like he would be, but then he's kind of soft about his reactions to things. No, he is pretty savage. He's Brutor. He took over because the previous person, whose name is currently eluding me, was a bit too soft. Yes, the security status is based on Concord presence, but the point is that Intaki is now Karen Midgeler. Thank you, Setonia. The security so when they took Intaki, not only are those 2 constellations now no longer in the war zone and are just considered to be part of the Galente, but there's also massive military buildup within those systems, and it's been noted that the security status has been elevated by 1 point so far. And there's a new Stargate connecting Amignon to Intaki. So the chances of it continuing to go up in security is very possible. So yes, a lot of things are changing recently, guys. Excuse me. Anything else, or should we jump into the main event? All right, before we do, I'm going to remind everybody to hit like on the video. And also, I'm going to do an ad. So watch the ad, make me money, and then we'll talk about the main thing, which is, so you've returned to EVE Online. All right, let me, those of you who do go and watch the ad, make sure when you come back to let me know, so that way I have any idea what the hell's going on. All right, cool. I recently came back from EVE a month ago, so this is important. I'm really pleased with how many people, like, my video on coming back to EVE in 2023 or playing EVE in 2023 has been blowing up. I love it. I'm super happy. Let's see. I have a lot of tabs ready to go. We should be fine. As soon as everybody's back. Excellent. Thanks, L. Wait, why would you have an ad? Why would members have an ad? That's not supposed to be a thing. Whatever. I'll figure it out some other time. Yeah, welcome back. Welcome back. Yeah, so all right. So the video that I made about 2023, whether or not EVE Online is a good time to come back to sorry. A week ago, I made a video called Should You Play EVE in 2023? And this video has become very, very popular, or 3 reasons to play EVE Online in 2023. It's been very popular. A lot of people have signed up. A lot of people have subscribed off of it. A lot of people have joined the Alliance because of it. People have been digging it. And I've noticed just a ton of old school names showing up and, coming back to the game, both in Faction Warfare and elsewhere. So we have a lot of people coming back to the game. And so I hear, like, the questions that I get asked a lot have actually shifted a lot from new player questions and more to, like, returning player questions. Because the problem is that a lot of huge, huge changes have happened in the last few years in EVE Online. And because of all of the angst and scarcity and all that kind of stuff, a lot of the actual practical details of these things have either been lost or misrepresented in the public a lot. So, for the benefit of you guys, those of you who may be returning to EVE after some time, I felt that it would be important to go over all of the major things that I can think of that has changed in the game that will be relevant to you. Now, there is some things that have been added to the game, like new content, new like invasions and Abyss and all that stuff. And we're probably going to touch on that a little bit, especially towards the end. But mostly I want to focus on things that you might expect to behave a certain way that don't work that way anymore, or there are new ways of doing it, updates, changes, rebalances, etc. So I have this divided into 3 different categories. We have it industry, other reworks, and the Triglavians. Okay, so let's get started with the market. EVE Online, one of the major selling features of EVE Online is its markets. So the market, everything in the game has to be built, well, almost everything in the game is built by players. It's all traded by players. The markets are local, so you have to move things around. Logistics are a thing. The market and the simulation of the market is by far one of the biggest selling points of EVE Online. One of the things that makes EVE unique. However, there was a bit of a problem, which is that you could update your order once every 5 minutes, but when you updated your order, you could update your order by as little as 0.01 ISK granularity, or 0.01 ISK. And so what people would do is they would just go look at the cheapest order, or the best order, the current best order, and make it so that their order is 0.01 ISK better, whether it's a buy order or a sell order, right? And therefore, the people who won were the ones that were able to update it every 5 minutes, right? To keep their order being the best order, which lends itself, of course, to bots. But what this means is that the actual how to do market trading kind of gets lost in the sauce a little bit there, right? Because it's not necessarily about knowing how to do market trading. It's more about whether or not you can sit at the computer and update your orders often enough, more often than your opponent. And that's not really great. So what they did was they changed it. Now, there's a limit on the precision. You have to have 4 significant figures, right? At maximum. So if something is, 1,111,000, then you can't make it 111,000.1, right? You have to increment it by make it so that there's 4 significant digits. In other words, without the zeros, right? So this makes it so that prices fluctuate way faster because positions change in bigger increments. They're no longer, when prices are going up, they're no longer going up in increments of 0.01 ISK as it like slowly climbs the price thing, right? They have to go up by an increment that's based on its maximum amount, right? Secondly, they made it so that the broker fees were mandatory, and they tweaked the broker fees to make it so that tax havens were a little bit less. But the biggest one is this one. So now, rather than it being about 0.01 ISKing, it's now about fixed positions. So it costs more to put up and update your order, and you have less precision in how much you can update your order. So what that means is that you want to make a good guess of how much you want to spend or how much you want to sell it for and put it up and hold your position as much as you possibly can. And that is way closer to the way that like real things happen. All right. Okay. Next, along with the market, there's changes in how things are built. It begins with rocks. Once upon a time, there was a lot of, like, the distribution of resources was very much regional or at least racially done. And then over the years, it's kind of been muddied a bit, especially as nullsec sov and the iHub upgrades and all that stuff started being put in. Nullsec became increasingly independent, which caused them to turtle up and all this other stuff. So what they did was they completely changed the way that the DNA of the rocks work, right? So it's all the same rocks, but what's in those rocks are different. The practical effect of this is that now Tritanium is basically the exclusive provider of, well, not exclusive, but the major provider of Tritanium. Lowsec becomes the near exclusive source of Isogen and Noxium, which is, by the way, why you see that massive explosion. This massive explosion of the price of Isogen, right? Because you have to mine it in Lowsec or Pakvin, which is probably more dangerous than Lowsec. And then, of course, Zydrine, Megasite, and Morphite are the domain of Nullsec. So what this means is, and this is part of a larger thing, what you'll see is that over the last several years, one of the biggest things that CCP is focused on is the idea that trade is essential. Almost nobody has everything they need to be able to do what they want. You have to be able to trade things. So what this means is that like dense Tritanium becomes incredibly valuable because you can compress it and use it to ship a massive amount of Tritanium. Sorry, dense Veldspar is compressed dense Veldspar is very valuable because that allows you to export large amounts of Tritanium very efficiently, just as an example. Likewise, all of the Lowsec ores become very valuable, etc., etc. In addition to this, this has made it so a lot of the rocks have disappeared. So depending on where you are at in Nullsec, you may not find any real belts. You may only find desolate ore fields. Desolate ore fields are basically where belts used to be, but now there's no rocks that are eligible to spawn there anymore. The reason why they still exist is because that way belt rats can still spawn and like officer rats can still be done and all that kind of stuff. It's a long story. There's gate camping. A lot of people got mad, but now it's better. And it's each area of space has their own resources, which makes Lowsec extraordinarily valuable. Nullsec is recovering, and Highsec is actually pretty decent too now, especially for like the tier of people that would be doing that kind of stuff. So as we can see here, like Veldspar has only Tritanium. You see a lot of stuff. All these minuses are minerals being removed with pluses being added to. So we see this major rebalance of what kind of ore. Look at this. Dark Orchor no longer has any Tritanium, but it does have a major amount of Mexilon and a major amount of Isogen, so on and so forth, right? So huge amounts of changes to there. So if you're getting your resources, just realize that resources are now distributed based on security bands. Okay. Now, once you get your rocks, sorry. This does also lead to another thing, which is if you want to get the rare good stuff, there is now rare good stuff. Just recently, i.e. about a month ago, new ores were discovered. Dulcinium, Epherium, Mordinium, and Ytterium. These 4 ores are only found in blue stars and in systems adjacent, like at the boundaries, right? So like the high-sec system that's next to a low-sec system, or a high-sec system that's next to a null-sec system, or a low-sec system that's next to a null-sec system. These are the systems that can potentially spawn these. They're still very rare, but they can spawn. But you can see that, like, this one comes with Megasite, which is normally null-sec only Zydrine, Pyrite, and Isogen. So Ytterium lets you get that Isogen, which is a low-sec only mineral, elsewhere other than low-sec. Now, this isn't enough to significantly change the market, as it turns out, but it does make it so that you, as a person who needs to get some of this stuff, have other options for what you're doing when you're looking for these resources. Yeah. Now, you've gotten your rocks. You've gotten your minerals. You've gotten all your stuff together. What happens next? Oh, sorry. One more thing as a clue. As part of this whole effort, the other thing they did was take all of the significant minerals out of moon mining. So now moon mining is only moon goo with Mexilon and Pyrite almost as like slag, right? So about half of your value of your moon goo, R4 moon goo, like the high sec and wormhole moons, about half of the value of it will be in the Mexilon and Pyrite, and about half of it will be in the actual moon goo itself. However, R4 moons have now become significantly more valuable. If you happen to be an industrialist, this is going to be your big thing, from extraction to production. So this is a significant change to the way the industry happened. And this is one of the things that have caused prices to kind of go crazy all over the place, but not necessarily in the way that you might have heard it has. So first and foremost, we now have compression. So it used to be that you would have to give your ore to the rock wall or take it to a station or whatever to do your compression. And you can only compress very specific things, like I think only asteroids or whatever. Now you can compress gas, you can compress ice, ore, moon goo, all that stuff. And even fancier, you can actually compress it yourself in the belt as you're mining. So for instance, I can sit there in a Mackinac all day in a belt, and rather than having to continually jet can or something like that, every time my thing gets full, I just right click on the rocks, say compress, hit OK, and boom. Now like all of my room, like everything's now 10 times smaller or whatever it is. So that's cool. How do I do that? Well, they have changed industrial support ships to get further away from mining and towards support. So the one most hit by this was the Rockwall. The Rockwall was like the undisputed king of mining. But now, because of all of this and the mining changes that happened, the Rockwall is, I mean, it still can mine, but it is certainly better to mine with mining barges supported by that. Same with the Orca and the Porpoise. The major function, or the additional major new function of these things, is the fact that they can also use the compression module. So an Orca, a Porpoise, or a Rockwall with a compression module on that has sieged and used it, because they all now have an industry core that they have to use, which locks them in place. But when they do that and then they use the compressor, everyone within range of them can now just compress at will in their cargo hold for free, no problem. Which is pretty, we have become so spoiled. It's ridiculous. If we have no compression for 10 minutes, we become such goddamn whiners in our mining fleets. It's silly. However, it is worth noting that not everything can compress everything, right? So we've got Orcas. Do we have it here? Yeah, so Rorqual can compress all of them, and then the Orca and the Porpoise can compress everything beside... oh, wait, I think the Porpoise had ice removed, right? So Porpoises can't do ice, just gas and ore. Orcas can do all three, and then the Rorqual can do all of them, I believe. I think that's how that works, right? Is there a reason why they don't allow moon ore compression in Upwell structures? It has to be a refinery that has a refiner online. And I think that you can now... I think that you can compress it under those conditions, if I remember correctly. So, lots and lots of big changes. But what does this all mean, and why does this have to do with industry? Well, oh, shit. Sorry, let me take a step back, actually. Back to, for more mining stuff. The other thing that they did was they doubled the amount of resources in the universe, but then they added in a new function called waste. The way that waste works, or sorry, residue, as it's now called, is that there is a chance, based on what equipment you're using, that when you mine, it will destroy twice as much resources as you get. Right? So if I mine and I have a 20% chance of waste and I mine 100 M3, then 20% of the time I will get 100 M3 and an extra 100 M3 will be destroyed out of the rock. So a total of 200 M3 is removed from the rock, but I only get 100 M3 of it. Okay? So that's called waste. The key here is that the higher end the extraction, the higher end the mining equipment, the more waste it consumes. So you can mine things slowly and carefully, or you can mine things quickly and more wastefully. But that's how it works, okay? So, and I think some of the things here are actually kind of wrong, but basically, the lower grade modules, or like the slower stuff, does a little bit of waste. Then the higher equipment does some waste, and then the better crystals. They've also redone how crystals work. There's now 3 different kinds of crystals for each type of ore. There's basically a decent yield but low waste version. There's a high yield, high waste version. And then there's the offensive one. The offensive one destroys like 13 times more ore than it mines. So it's designed so you can go into an enemy belt and just destroy their rocks, right? So that is how mining works now. It ends up making mining actually pretty lucrative, although NullSec has taken kind of a hit because they can no longer do it with their massive fleets of Rorquals. But I thought this was the industry changes. Hold on a second. Give me a second. Ah, found it. So once you get the rocks, what do? Well, there's been a significant update to industry. This significant update kind of boils down to a pretty simple answer, which is... Oh, they don't even have it here. All right, well, I'll just show you. Allow me to introduce you to reinforced carbon fiber. Reinforced carbon fiber is the new tritanium. Yeah, T1 crystals, the T1A has no residue, right? I think. Also, you're right, faction modules have less residue as well. So there are ways of getting less residue, but in general, I like to think that like the bigger mining things generally take bigger bites and are more wasteful. That's just how I like to think about it. Okay. So reinforced carbon fiber. First of all, as you can see, now all capital parts, or not all capital parts, but a lot of capital parts now require a certain chunk of reinforced carbon fiber along with it. So this goes into it. What they ended up doing was they took basically all of the battleships and capital ships. took out about half of its titanium requirements and replaced that requirements with this reinforced carbon fiber and other products, okay? The major two things that these reinforced carbon fiber becomes are these auto integrity preservation seals and life support backup units. There we go. Life support backup units. These two materials are now necessary for all faction equipment, battleships, and capital ships. Okay? So if I look at the reinforced carbon fiber, you can see like literally every single faction ship in the game now at least takes some, right? However, Empire faction ships, that's all they pretty much take until you get to battleship and above. Pirate faction ships, though, require something even nastier when it comes to its cost. And this is why pirate ships are kind of expensive now. Let me introduce you to the Neuralink conduit, the trigger Neuralink conduits. These things are required for every faction, capital, battleship, or I don't know if it's battleships. Yeah. No. Faction, every capital and faction or pirate faction ship require these things. In fact, the pirate faction ship requires 2 of types at least. There's one of these per race. Okay. There is the RO, the SR, the UC, and the other one, GO, which of course are conveniently colored by their race. So this is, Mimitar, not that one, Galente, etc. Okay, so if you're going to be building, say, a Vigilant, right, which is a Serpentis ship. Serpentis is a mixture of Mimitar and Galente. So you're going to need those life support backup units, the auto integrity preservation seals, as well as both the Galente and the Mimitar trigger Neuralink conduits. Why is this a problem? Well, it's really these things that ends up being the problem. These Neuralink enhancers are built by using 2 kinds of gas and these new condensers. The gas can be gotten in low sec and high sec, rarely in high sec, and the condensers can be gotten in high sec and low sec data sites. However, they are racially specific. So if I want this Celadron Mycosaracin, I'm going to have to go to Mimitar space and mine and huff gas there. And then for the Viridian Mycosaracin, I'm going to need to go to Galente space to huff that. The CV composite molecular condenser in this case is going to be is going to be the... Hold on a second. Did I mess that up? I'm not sure if I'm correct about the location of those gases now that I think about it. But either way, it takes these pieces, which are the molecular condensers. These are kind of weird. So these only drop in like the lowest end data sites available, mostly in what's called info shards. So you're not going to find these in nullsec. But what these do is, because these things are so valuable now, it's made it so that high sec and low sec data sites are worth more than relic sites. We've always we've had this kind of common truism that relic sites are better than data sites and that null sites are better than high sec sites. But these things technically make it so it's not true anymore. Data sites end up becoming pretty darn good, especially since we have beyond all of this, we have the capital pieces. Hold on. Is it this thing? There's another piece that goes into capitals and super capitals. Hold on a second. Let me look. Here they are. I think. No? No. Oh, yeah, it's right here. Just the Neuralink protection cell. The Neuralink protection cell, these things come from ghost sites. So now when you go to a ghost site, there used to be 4 cans, now there's a 5th can, and that 5th can almost always, at least in low sec, rarely in high sec, has one of these Neuralink protection cells. And I think that there's even a better version of it. Oh, sorry. The electroneural signaler, I think, is the one in low sec and high sec. And then the Neuralink protection cell, I believe, is the one in wormhole space. Either way, the point is that all these things now require exploration and gas huffing, which is what causes these things to be incredibly valuable. They've also made it so that ventures can gas huff, which makes gas huffing the most profitable way for alphas to mine, right? If you're an alpha, it's always been like, oh man, I can't get a mining barge, so therefore I can't mine very well. And I always say that alphas are consumers, not producers. However, alphas can actually gas huff, which if you go out with Luke Spoons over there, he will help you make a fortune. It's a little bit expensive to get the skill book, but it pays off very, very quickly if you're willing to do what it takes to get it. Oh, it'll explode if the NPCs appear too. It appears, they explode a few seconds after they appear. Oh, I see what you're saying. The top can doesn't explode just by them showing up. It only explodes if you fail the can. That's cool. Okay. So, as you can see, industry's gotten a lot crazier, but how do we get this shit, right? Reinforced carbon fibers. Ash, what, huh? Remember how I told you that R4 moon goo is worth more now? This is why. So, if we go back to the reinforced carbon fiber, we can see that what's really happening here is that it's a reaction. This reaction requires carbon fiber, oxy-organic solvents, and thermosetting polymer. Carbon fiber is made by hydrocarbons or evaporate deposits. Or oxy-organic solvents are made by hydrocarbons and atmospheric gases. And thermosetting polymer is made by atmospheric gases and silicates. Now, there is one other thing to this, which is pressurized oxidizers, which is kind of like the other side of the coin from reinforced carbon fibers. And these require sulfuric acid, which takes atmospheric gases and evaporate deposits. So what this means is that basically R4 moon goo, those high-sec moons, right? All of them produce the stuff. If you take all of the stuff that comes out of the R4, those products, I think there's 4 of them. There might be a 5th. I think there's 4. Atmospheric gases, evaporate deposits, hydrocarbons and silicates. There you go. There you go. All 4. I believe that's it. If you take those 4 products and you react them together in different ways, you end up with reinforced carbon fibers or pressurized oxidizers, which then becomes everything else, right? So, what have they really done here? What they have done is, it used to be that Tech 1 industry was dirt simple and Tech 2 industry was painfully complicated, and there was no step in between. Now, there is a step in between. Faction ships, battleships, and capital ships are now that step in between, where, yes, they do take reactions like Tech 2 does, but rather than requiring all different kinds of reactions depending on what it is that you're trying to make, they all take the same reaction stuff, right? So I can just sit here and just I don't even need to know what we're building. My job is to crank out reinforced carbon fibers and turn them into life support, auto integrity preservation seals and life support backup units to be able to build ships, right? This gives us something to step up from. It's not just minerals and BPC becomes a ship, and it's not all the way to, oh my god, I need to invent, I need to get all these moon goo, I need to react all that shit, I need to get it all together, I need to build the T1, I need to put it all that's a huge leap. So now there's this kind of middle ground where you can get comfortable with reactions. You can kind of step up your game a little bit without jumping fully into T2, which I think is really good and has helped a lot of our industrialists get into it deeper. Cool. Next. All right, that's it for industry. So let's go into revamped systems. First, revamped daily reward tracks. You may actually be so gone or have been gone so long that you didn't even know that we had daily rewards, but now we do. When you log in, you get a daily reward track that every day you log in, you kind of work down the thing. There's different stuff that comes up. There's different qualities, whatever. Now, originally, they gave you really crappy BPCs, temporary effect skins, and some, basic boosters and stuff. And then, after you got enough, you would get 150,000 skill points, after so many logins or whatever. They recently changed it so that way the rewards are way, way better. And better enough that you should be aware of them. So we've got kind of 3 different basic things, I think. Is it 3? Well, 4 technically, but 3 big ones. One is the boosters. Now, these boosters are crazy. Just absolutely crazy. Bonker sauce. Let's look at this. Can I even look at this? Hold on. Yeah. So we have the Halcyon B, G, R, and Y, which are, of course, based on the races. You've got blue, green, red, yellow. The B boosters do shield resistance, warp speed and acceleration, optimal range and fall off, missile flight time, capacitor capacity, drone hit points, blah, 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 blah. So this has a bunch of stuff. And all of them are like that. And they go from 1% all the way up to 5%, right? And so these things are almost always useful to you in one way or another. And they just show up here in your login rewards, like this one. But the thing is that they expire very quickly. They expire in a week. And you can't turn them into a physical item. They apply automatically. So it's one of those things that, you got to find opportunities to use them. Otherwise, they go away. On top of that, they have the new skins. So they have the Halcyon Dawn skins, which are basically like the biosecurity skins that are, but gold. They have the Carmine Horizon skin for a few ships, which is kind of pretty. And then the other thing that they've done is all of the skins that were part of some other event or thing that can't be gotten anymore are now have a rare chance of dropping. So guess what? I have this skin because I went to Eve Vegas in 2019. It is incredibly difficult to get this skin otherwise. It is very expensive. It's very nice. It's one of the most coveted skins in the game. A year ago, I would have told you that you should just give up on any idea of ever getting this skin. You just don't even worry about it. But now, there is a small chance for you to get this skin as your pack. You can get this skin. You can get Purity of the Throne skins. You can get the Doctor Who skins. Yes, there was a Doctor Who event. Don't worry about it. We're moving on. So you can, if you've ever longed for these skins that are part of bygone days, they are now technically along the timeline available to you once again, which is pretty cool. And then finally, they give skill points and filaments as well. Doctor Who. That is a story for another day. I will say this, though. The Doctor Who sites were really, really fun. Okay. Next. They rebalanced strategic cruisers. If you have ever wanted to fly T3 cruisers, or you like T3 cruisers, guess what? They are cool. The biggest change, I'm just going to put it on the surface, the biggest change that has happened is that now you no longer lose skill points for losing a T3 cruiser. Yay! In fact, because of this change, it is now actually impossible to lose skill points in EVE involuntarily. The only way to lose skill points now is by extracting it out of your own brain with a skill extractor. Oh yeah, there's skill extractors. We'll get to that. So actually, I think I left that off the list, ironically enough. The other thing that's worth noting is that T3 cruisers have had one of their subsystems collapsed, so now they only have 4 subsystems instead of 3. 4 subsystems instead of 5. And the balance has been that the Tengu is no longer the undisputed king. It's still okay. The Loki is great. I'm loving the Proteus, and the Legion's pretty good too. But the Loki is the clear winner of this one, okay? Yes, it used to be that when you lost a T3 cruiser, you would lose a rank in one of the T3 cruiser skills that control that ship. Next. Now, for those of you who live in Nullsec and get around, I've kind of left this about halfway through the thing because I wanted to only reward the people that made it this far. Because this is the one that's going to kill you if you don't know about it. You ready? All of your interdiction nullified ships no longer work. There is no such thing as passive nullification, interdiction nullification, on any ship except shuttles. Shuttles now have interdiction nullification. All shuttles, every single shuttle, is now interdiction nullified. However, no other ship is interdiction nullified by default. They have a new module called the interdiction nullification module that will allow you to be interdiction nullified for a short period of time. You can use this while you're cloaked. Ships that had interdiction nullification bonuses before now have bonuses for the cooldown time on that module, so that way you can use it every jump or whatever. But yeah, you have to actively hit it at the correct time or it doesn't work. What's even funnier is that that's also true about warp core stabilizers now. There is no such thing as stabbing up, you know that old image of like the Calmill ship with like warp cores, like the Condor with warp cores in every single slot, high slot, mid slot, low slot. Can't do that anymore. Well, you couldn't do that before, but you can't load up your low slots with warp core stabs anymore. You can fit one, and that one can be activated for 10 seconds, and it gives you 2 points of warp core stability. What does this mean? Well, that means that a Mollis Navy issue, with its +2 points to scram, +2 points of scram, it beats your defenses. If you have any normal ship and you have a warp core stab and you use it, you get 3 points, right? But if somebody has any bonuses at all, because their scram is 2, so if they have a faction point or whatever, they can still point you. They can still scram you. And even if you're in a ship with built-in warp core stability, a Venture or a Bustard or something like that, they have 2 points of warp core stability. But wait, let's do the math. A faction scram on a Mollis Navy issue is 5 points of scram. Uh-oh, it no longer matters. A Mollis Navy issue with a faction scram can now scram anything in the game, and it will not get away. It cannot warp. Does not matter. There's nothing you can do about it. There's no amount of stability. So, enjoy that. Now, you still can use warp core stabilizers because often people don't bring more than one scram or, whatever. There's still opportunities to use it. However, not only does it still have all of its drawbacks, it actually now has more drawbacks because it cuts your bandwidth of your drone bandwidth in half. So now you get half as many drones to use. And to make matters worse, all of these penalties also exist on the interdiction nullification module. We hop back in game again. If we look at the interdiction nullifier, we can see that it also cuts your bandwidth of your drones in half, cuts your scan resolution in half, cuts your maximum target range bonus in half. This is just to have this thing. So your interceptors that use interdiction nullification are no longer going to have a 50% cutoff from their scan resolution. So those interceptors, well, actually, hold on. Now that I think about it, I think they fixed that. Really? Oh, it's not even a clock. God damn it. Yeah. 80% reduction in interdiction nullification reactivation delay, max lock range penalty, and scanner resolution penalty. So the interceptors don't get as much of a penalty on those things, but they still do get some penalty just by having the interdiction nullification. And it also increases their interdiction nullification duration by 100%. So this is how they kind of resolved it, is that the ships that were really, really, really good at interdiction nullification now has these bonuses. However, the number of ships that can use interdiction nullification has increased, but it isn't that much. In fact, they can be fit to interceptors, blockade runners, deep space transports, strategic cruisers, the yacht, covert ops, and haulers. By the way, industry ships are now called haulers. So pretty much all of the hauling ships and the ships that could use it before now can use interdiction nullification. Okay? We good? And of course, they can use warp core stability. I think everybody can still use warp core stability, but it's also not that great anymore. You also, oh yeah. If you have an ECM burst on, you can't use the nullifier either. That's true too. Okay? So that's the important one that I wanted to make sure that I warned you guys about, because that's the one that gets people killed for not knowing. Speaking of killing, let's talk about structures. So some of you may not, if you're old enough, you may not even realize that they have basically completely replaced the POS system with a new thing called Upwell structures. Upwell structures are player structures that can be built. They're giant cities in space. They're really cool. However, they get two reinforcement timers, right? So you strip down their shields, they reinforce, you come back for the armor timer, you beat the armor timer, they reinforce, you come back for the structure timer, then it blows up, okay? At least that's how it was for a while. Now, medium structures, which are the ones that most people use, right? The medium structures cost about $1 billion or so each to put down. They're the ones that most people live out of, and now they only have one timer. So the person shows up, they strip off your shields, then they come back a few days later, and they blow up the structure. This includes in wormhole space, which of course wormhole space, normally structures have a thing called asset safety, which means when a structure becomes blown up, all of your stuff that's in there gets thrown into asset safety, which then you can pull out in various different ways. It's either very cheap if it's in the same system, or it's like 20% if they have to asset safety it to the nearest LOSIC system for you. However, wormhole space doesn't get this at all. When a structure blows up, it's a giant loot pinata, which is pretty funny. And now they have that one timer, right? So in wormhole space, you can hit a structure and get a 3-day timer, and then come back in 3 days, and congratulations, it's now your loot. That's a big deal. and it's changed the way that whether or not people or how people can live in wormhole space. But you know, people have kind of adopted to it. There is a second problem, which is that if a structure goes unfueled for more than a week, in other words, the structure is not doing anything productive. It has no industry going. It has no clone bay going. It's not mining any moons or anything like that. It is just sitting there. After 7 days, it becomes abandoned. And when it becomes abandoned, all of its asset safety defenses get turned off. And all of its reinforcements get turned off. So as soon as it goes abandoned, somebody can hit it, blow it up, and loot all the crap. This is true in high sec, it's low sec, and null sec, everywhere. So your stuff is not always safe. If you had stuff, and now you don't, and you don't know why, you might have left it in a player structure, and it might have gone abandoned, and it's now someone else's stuff. If you see in your asset window, you'll get in your notification window, you'll get a notification when things are about to go abandoned. You'll also get a note on your asset window. There'll be a little lightning bolt when a structure goes into low power, which indicates that it might go abandoned soon. You get about 24-hour warning before it goes abandoned. So keep an eye on what your structures are. Also, there's no such thing as outposts in nullsec anymore. All outposts were converted into these structures, which were then either destroyed, torn up, or maybe some of them are already there. So if you had stuff in nullsec before, even if it was in an outpost, it is likely now either in asset safety in some low-sec system, the closest low-sec system to wherever it was, or it's gone. So beware. You know, be aware of what kind of commitment you're putting into nullsec in particular, because there's no guarantee that you're going to be able to extract things that easily out of it. And these structures can get blown up. They can be blockaded. We've seen people betray their own people and pull the fuel so that way they can sell the structure to the enemy or whatever. It's EVE. It's still EVE Online. So structures are incredibly useful. They're incredibly powerful. I'm not going to go into too many details about all of the different pros and cons of structures. Just realize that now they are more destructible, and assets in asset safety can now be at risk by going abandoned. Next. Siege Green. Oh, this was the same thing. This was the timer changes. They also made it so that capital ships could be built again. For a couple of years, it was basically prohibitively expensive to build capital ships. All right, speaking of more updates, we have the Agency. The Agency, a lot of older players don't know about the Agency. The Agency is now your go-to source for information about where things are in game. Just to go over it super quickly, we have everything from all of your agent finders and missions and all that sort of stuff. We have incursions, faction warfare, fobs, abyssal dead space. We have anomalies, signatures, all that kind of stuff, right? Like asteroid belt. If you want to find out where something is, if you want to see where a rock is, you come here. You can see every single belt in the game. You can see what kind of rock spawn there, right? You can look at anomalies. You can see anomalies within the area. You can see anomalies up to one jump away. Otherwise, you see just blank, like, I don't know. Same with normal anomalies. So there's a lot of information now in the Agency. Get to learn to love it. It is particularly useful in knowing where things are other places. Like, for instance, one of the ones that a lot of people don't know is that in faction warfare, you can actually now check the status and the plexes in any given system. I can go here and be like, let's see, Caldari, right? If I want to see what's going on right now or so in Naga, well, whatever, in, let's call it Nisua, I can see, oh, look at all those plexes right now. That implies to me that no one's in Nisua running it, right? Pinacoso, you can kind of see Hiri probably is being run more, maybe. But yeah, you can see it from anywhere. In fact, I can go, I can say, okay, I only want to see front lines. And now I can go, well, there's Pine, there's Hazmi, there's Suj, there's Nena, right? So the agency is extremely valuable for getting information. In addition to that, you can also find a bunch of videos to help you out. You've got scanning, you've got wormholing, and then there's all these combat ones. Oh my god, these are so good. Check this out. ECM prevents its target from establishing a lock on anything other than its target successfully ECM jamming it. That's also changed, by the way. ECM no longer causes you to not be able to lock anything. You can now always lock back the thing that is jamming you. Energy neutralizers. I like this thing. Like missile application. You can see... You can really see how the application works here, right? Like, this thing's smaller than the explosion and faster, so it's halfway out of there. This one's all the way in and takes up most of the circle, so it's going to take most of the damage. Really cool stuff. Next. Cynos. Let's say you got your Interdiction nullified ship, your Tengu, destroyed. You got all mad. You found out that Interdiction nullification is a thing. So then you go back, you get it, you get your Tengu again, you come back, you go to light your Cyno to let you jump your Dread, and oh shit, doesn't work. It is now true that only Force Recons and Black Ops are allowed to light standard Cynosaural fields. Yeah, that's extremely restricting. In case you haven't noticed. So, it is no longer true that a capital ship can just sit there with a hard Cyno on it and light it for whatever they want. You actually will need a dedicated Cyno ship there on field to like decloak and then light the Cyno. Nope, wrong one. So if we see here, we can see that only Force Recon ships and Black Ops are allowed to use. And that's only Force Recon ships. So that's only the cloaking Recon ships that are allowed to use it. Not even all Recon ships. So pretty much just those ships. The Arazu, the Falcon, the Pilgrim, and the Rapier are the ones that mostly light Cynos. Black Ops technically can. However, there is also the covert Cyno, as it is, which those can be lit by anything with a covert ops cloak. So here we have the strategic cruiser again. You've got blockade runner, stealth bomber, prospect, force recon, covert ops, black ops, etc. Anything that can have a covert ops cloak can also light a covert ops Cyno. And then finally, they came out with a new Cyno to make up for this change called the industrial Cyno. The industrial Cyno can be used by any hauler, blockade runner, deep space transport, or the Venture. Although the Venture does need fitting mods, or like cargo expanding mods, in order to even fit enough ozone to light it. But you technically can. However, the only things that are allowed to jump through to this thing are jump freighters, roke walls, and it doesn't say this here, but sneaky, Black Ops. So Black Ops can also jump to an industrial Cyno field generator. So if you see an industrial Cyno, it might be a jump freighter, it might be a roke wall, or it might be a Black Ops. So beware of that. But yeah, there is significantly more restriction on what can and cannot be a Cyno anymore. That said, they did add a Cynosaural beacon. So now you no longer have to actually like bring a Cyno ship. You can actually carry an invisible structure. No, you can carry one of these mobile Cyno beacons, which are let's see, how big are they? 400 M3, so totally doable. You drop it and it lights a Cyno for you. It's just a structure. Likewise, there's also a covert one. Okay, so that's Cynos and capitals. Next. Project Discovery. Project Discovery is citizen science. We've now gone through 3 different iterations, and the current iteration is based on COVID-19. So the way this works is that you open up Project Discovery, and you can basically identify cellular structures. You get points. You get a bunch of... the skin you get is biosecurity responder skin. And if you get high enough ranks, you can get Concord ships up to and including the Marshal at rank 500. So it's a good way to make some extra money. There are limited turn-ins per day based on whether or not you're Alpha or Omega, which is paid or not. But it is a good way, like if you're mining or just sitting around bored somewhere, gate camping, it's a good way to get a little bit of extra money, especially as a newer player. You do get better rewards at level 25 as an Omega and beyond. Also, we have new heraldry. Heraldry is through the Paragon system. Paragon is a new group made by Evermore, which is the former Interbus Corporation. Heraldry is basically a new way to customize our ships. So if I hop in... Right now, heraldry is still very, very limited. There's only really one kind of heraldry, but it's also very, very new. Oh yeah, there's new hangars, by the way. So you can see, like, this is my ship, but you can also see, hey, look, there's my corporation logo. It's right there. That's really cool. It also is right here. You also can, I also have an Alliance logo, but our Alliance logo isn't done yet. So, but you can see, like, I have an Alliance logo on the side. So most of the time, the corporation logos in the front and the back, and the Alliance logos are on the side. Now, you buy these through Evermarks, which are like, I call them Everbucks. And the way you get those is by turning in ships to the the Paragon agent. And there's a Paragon station in every trade hub and a few extras. So what this means is that especially if you are like a newer player or just want to make a little bit of extra money, you can have a huge markup by just selling ships in the Paragon stations, particularly Exploration T1 frigates, destroyers, the Venture, and basic mining barges. Those are the things that they ask for, and people will pay out the nose. I've paid 1 million ISK for a single Venture just because I'm too lazy to go get one. And we're talking about things that are in the same system. You don't even need to buy them. You can just buy them, or you don't even need to build them, rather. You just buy them in Paragon, or in the normal trade hub, haul them over to Paragon, and put them up for sale, and they sell, and you make tons of money. Like $1.5 million for a destroyer or whatever, right? So this has made it so that T1 production, especially that low-end T1 production, which, by the way, the industry changes made cheaper, not more expensive, contrary to popular belief. But you know, it's a good way to be able to make money in spite of the fact, you know, T1 is normally not very profitable, but at least on smaller scales, you can make a lot of money this way through the Paragon stations, or you can just turn them in and get cool heraldry yourself. There's more heraldry that's going to be coming. So, you know, saving up Paragon points is also probably a good idea. Basically, if you think about it, Paragon points, or the Evermarks, are effectively Paragon's LP store, right? So, cool. That about covers it for, like, the newer updates. So let's talk about the Triglavian Collective.
These recordings, released by Concord, show the capture of a heavily damaged ship found drifting a few days ago in the system of Raynilis. No information has been released on the whereabouts or the fate of its crew, but within hours of being boarded, the ship was towed to the Concord Directive Enforcement Department headquarters in Ulai. There it remained quarantined outside the station for 48 hours before it was deemed safe to dock. Little is known about the crew or the builders of the ship at this time except the name Triglavian, possibly connected to the frequent occurrence of the number 3 in their designs. For the past month, damaged drifter fleets have been mysteriously emerging around various jump gates in New Eden. Appearing in previously unseen numbers, these drifter fleets have been nicknamed Death Balls by Capsuleers. Passive unless provoked, the drifter ships are heavily damaged after some unknown engagements. This has been the cause of speculation about who or what damaged those ships. The Arydanika Research Consortium has been the leading element in the drifter investigations, mercilessly attacking them at every opportunity. While these unprovoked attacks on the drifters have raised controversy, they have also been justified as they have provided clues to what has been happening to the drifter fleets. Trinary data vaults have been salvaged from the drifter wrecks. The data they hold is partly corrupted and believed to be Triglavian. The Arydanika Research Consortium has been quite successful in extracting fragmented footage from this data and stitching it together. The footage shows drifters engaging Triglavian ships. It is due to these efforts and consequent questions raised by Capsuleers that Concord has finally come forward to shed some light on these events. In the short amount of time since its capture, the Triglavian ship has provided Concord with a wealth of information. Equipped with what has been named a filament device, it allows cruiser-sized ships to enter what Professor Mayer of Concord Deep Space Research calls abyssal dead space. After observing energy spikes spread across New Eden, he has theorized that these are potential entry points to self-sustained pockets of space and time, abyssal dead space. In a daring experiment, an Enforcer-class cruiser was fitted with the filament device to test this theory. Upon activation, the ship instantaneously opened up and entered one of the countless millions of abyssal dead space pockets. This experiment confirmed Professor Mayer's theories, and as also predicted, the entry point closed behind the traveling ship, removing all hope of rescue in case of emergency. Initial observations of the pocket showed that it was surrounded by a harsh flux of space-time. Any ship venturing too far from its center would be crushed by the gravitational forces. Hazardous phenomena were also detected within the pocket, requiring careful navigation to avoid damage or even destruction of the ship if flying into or too close to these hazards. Almost immediately, the expedition came under attack from 3 Triglavian ships. Frigate-sized, the vessels were easily identified as Triglavian by the distinctive sphere of energy. This sphere is in fact an engine for a weapon called Entropic Disintegrator. Operated completely differently from any existing Capsuleer weaponry, it needs a baseline of capacitor to initiate a continuous beam of energy aimed at its target. Initial damage inflicted is limited, but quickly its energy levels ramp up, increasing its damage capability significantly. Once it reaches full capacity, its damage output is higher than any other known weapons of similar size. The Concord cruiser received considerable damage before managing to destroy the attacking frigates, but due to the damages sustained, communications with the ship became sporadic throughout the remainder of the expedition. With no way to turn around to safety, the crew had no choice but to press on, going deeper into the dead space, traveling through at least 3 pockets via what looks like some sort of transportation gates. 12 minutes after entering the abyssal dead space, the last transmission was received from the expedition. Engaged once again by ships of Triglavian design, this time the cruiser was clearly outmatched by the larger vessels. While fragmented, it seems the Concord cruiser tried desperately to limit the damage received by the entropic disintegrators by repeatedly trying to move out of their range before their damage output reached maximum. But since the safe area within the pocket is limited, it kept getting cornered by the Triglavian ships. Each time the cruiser was forced to make another run past the Triglavians, it took incredible damage whenever any of the beams managed to reach its optimal output. Eventually, the cruiser hull was breached, and a fraction of a second later, its signal was lost. Data from the expedition is still being analyzed, but preliminary findings show that the cruiser traveled through 3 distinct pockets that all shared similar environments. It is believed that the gate seen in the 3rd pocket would have provided a safe passage back to the point where the cruiser entered the abyssal dead space. What is interesting is that the footage collected from the drifter wrecks in the past weeks showed at least 5 different forms of environments, which clearly indicates that more is yet to be discovered. Furthermore, the footage also shows drifters engaging Triglavian ships in the abyssal dead space, so it is only safe to assume that drifters will very likely be encountered in future expeditions. Another interesting observation.
All right, I'm going to pause there, and we're going to talk about what we've heard so far. So basically, the Triglavian Collective is a new race, or a new empire, I should say, in EVE Online. They are actually an ancient empire that has been lost in abyssal dead space since the time of the first or second Jovian Empire, so thousands of years, and have recently been rediscovered. The race has its own ship line. That is pretty fleshed out at this point. They have a full line of frigate, destroyer, cruiser, Logi cruiser, destroyer, battleship, dreadnought, as well as a T2 assault frigate, command destroyer, logistics cruiser, and heavy assault cruisers. So pretty good setup. They're very pretty ships. And as it mentions, they have that entropic disintegrator. Entropic disintegrators start out a little bit lower than other weapon systems, but ramp up every single cycle that they're able to be used continuously. They have no fall off, however, so if you get outside of your optimal, your laser shuts off, you have to restart the entire process of ramping once again. So these are really fun, really strong ships that do require Omega and are a little bit harder to fly than normal ships, but are very, very fun. In particular, the Kikimora is very popular. I personally am a big fan of the Ikitursa. They are a bit expensive most of the time, but the way that you get these things is that everything that you need to build these ships, other than the basic materials or minerals, comes from the Abyss. Okay, so the Abyss is a 3-room timed instance dungeon where you're given basically 3 different semi-randomized challenges where you can fight rogue drones, Triglavians, drifters, Concord, Sancha, Angels, or the drifters. I don't know if I mentioned that one already. Or rogue drones, whatever. You complete the 3 different challenges by killing everything inside of it. That unlocks the door. There's 1 loot box per room with additional extra loot kind of along the edges that you could go after if you want to. You have 20 minutes to complete all 3 of these challenges. If your ship is destroyed or you run out of time, your ship, your pod, all of its modules, everything is destroyed completely and goes away. So it is a very high risk, high reward. However, since it is instanced, other people cannot mess with you while you're actually in the Abyss. They can get you as you're coming back out, but while you're in the Abyss, it is 100% focused on that. The ships in the Abyss, the Triglavian ships, are pretty close to real normal players or whatever. Like, so they're not like super hard ships per se, but they do offer interesting challenges for the people. There's plenty of videos about the Abyss. That's a whole huge thing. It's like one of the big PvEs now. I strongly recommend it. I built a cheat sheet about it. There's plenty more resources. I'll let you guys look that up. But for now, just realize that there's a Triglavian collective. They have disintegrators. They come from the Abyss, and they have a new weapon system. I think that about covers it so far. Let's keep going.
Observation made during the expedition were readings of high concentrations of biotech that is.
To answer your question, though, in a more direct way, the #1 ship in the Abyss is usually the Gila. So they're that strong.
Been named Mutoplasmids.
They're
also
similar to
found
faction,
in the captured Triglavian cruiser. Concord researchers have been experimenting with the substance and discovered it can have immense but unpredictable effects on existing technology. In the first experiment, Mutoplasmids were allowed to bond with a standard micro-warp drive, resulting in vastly improved performance and reduced capacity.
Sorry, thank you.
Existing technology. In the first experiment, Mutoplasmids were allowed to bond with a standard micro-warp drive, resulting in vastly improved performance and reduced capacitor need while taking some penalty in the form of power consumption. When conducting the exact same experiment again, the results were completely different. Performance decreased while also seeing increased capacitor and power requirements. Subsequent testing has yielded everything from extremely positive to extremely negative results on the modules tested. Once the mutoplasmids have bonded to the modules, then these changes become irreversible, which makes use of the substance a risky gamble. But it is obvious that if this material can be harvested in large quantities, then it is set to revolutionize current space technology. This is Alton Havery, reporting for the Scope.
Okay, so mutoplasmids are a new way of, I've heard people call it enchanting, but it basically allows you to randomly edit or modify a module or a drone. So, for instance, I thought I had some here. No, nothing. Okay. I'm sure my Marshall has one. Hold on. So this is an abyssal micro warp drive, right? So it has a base of, it was originally an enduring micro warp drive. Enduring means it takes less capacitor. And I used, or it was it me? Yeah, I used a decayed. Hey, thanks for that. Fucking. So you can see that this is an enduring micro warp drive. Making a bookmark. I'm going to edit that out. This is an enduring micro warp drive that's been modified by a decayed mutoplasmid. You can see here that its activation cost has been reduced from 336 gigajoules to 238 gigajoules. Its maximum velocity bonus has been increased from 489% to 522%. Its signature radius modifier has been reduced from 525% to 450%. And the heat damage is not a thing. And its fitting has become worse. It now takes 97 or oh shit. I'm sorry. Let me start over. It went from 512 to 651 velocity. It went from I don't know what the base stat is here. Well, it's almost minimized when it comes to the signature radius modifier. Heat damage, nope. And the activation cost was originally 322 and now it's 241. Fitting. It was originally 89.79. Which it still is? Hold on. Am I missing how this thing gets interpreted? I can't read, apparently. Hold on. No, that seems right. Oh, this acceleration control that's affecting it. Right, got it. Timeout. Damn it, what's the base values? Hold on. We'll have to go here. Okay, we'll just do it this way. Activation cost is now 322 instead of 280? I feel like there's something weird about this. Either way, god damn it. I'm not going to get mixed up in this right now. But the point of the matter is that it modifies the stats up and down, right? Let me just pull this off real quick. The problem is that the simulator is also counting my stats, which are also modifying things. Let's just do it this way. Yeah. God damn it. All right, so it went from 280 to 241 activation. It went from 505 to 651 maximum velocity. Went from 500 to 453 signature radius. However, the fitting went from 75 to 89 and from 1250 to 1371. So more fitting, but better overall, right? And that's just an enduring one. You can actually get like, you could even do it with an officer mod, but there's plenty of opportunity for the rolls to go bad, right? Like this was one that was selected from, you know, maybe dozens of rolls that were made. So yeah, it's just a cool way to customize your stuff and allows for some pretty insane things to be made. You know, really, really long webs, really, really good, well-fitting modules that couldn't fit otherwise. And there are 3 different tiers of Mutoplasmids. There's Decayed, there's Gravid, and there's Unstable. And that basically modifies how much it can go up or down, right? So Unstable is like the most risk versus reward. It can have the highest highs and the lowest lows. Likewise, a module is, or each Mutoplasmid is tied to a specific module type. So you'd get like a webbing Mutoplasmid, and that'll work on any web, but it has to be a web. And then there'll be another Mutoplasmid that's like plates. Another Mutoplasmid that'll be ancillary shield wrappers. Most of the Mutoplasmids are gotten from the Abyss, and the different weathers of the Abyss will control what kind of rewards that you get. What do you mean by weathers in the Abyss? Well, there's actually 5 different kinds of Abyss. Again, not going to get too deep into it, but there are darks, exotics, gammas, electricals, and firestorms that provide different bonuses and resistance penalties based on which weather you're in. So you customize your ship, and each kind of weather plays a little bit differently. But depending on which weather you do, you get different rewards. So if you do like, I think it's exotic, you get like webs. If you get firestorm, you get plates, etc. All right, so that's the Abyss, and that was pretty cool. 1 year after the Abyss.
Heads up, I'm activating the Abyssal Filament. If you need to reload kinetic ammo and group weapons, do it now.
Kinetic ammo? What are you talking about? I brought thermal. I got thermal ammo with me.
I got thermal! You said thermal!
We went over this. It's super simple. It's a dozen ships, we kill them, grab the loot, and head for the exit gate. Alright guys, keep your stuff together. Here we go. This is weird. Yeah, something's not right. There's nobody here.
Did someone already run this pocket? The gate's open.
That's not possible. Come on, follow me. There's gonna be something up ahead. Alright.
Did anyone see that?
Yep. Let's get closer and have a look.
Maybe we should just head back to the gate. Like, we could do a different filament.
Come on, don't be a wuss. Is that something up ahead there? Yep, there's definitely something up ahead. Getting a little bit closer. Well done.
Oh my god.
This is ridiculous.
Look at that.
That's a lot of ships.
Guys?
We are definitely running.
Oh shit, I have implants in this clone.
Yeah, prop mods on. Let's go. Go, 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 go. Careful, guys. Down.
SC's down. I'm primary. They're shooting me now. It's this time.
Yeah, you're not gonna make it.
You're told.
You want a bet? Got you. Almost there. Almost. Yeah.
Holy hell.
In 2019, the Triglavian Collective invaded New Eden. They began simply by probing and prodding at different areas, going in, extracting resources, experimenting on the local space-time before being fought off and disappearing yet again to attack another place. However, after a year, they changed their tactics. In Chapter 3, actually, is there a chapter? Yeah. Things escalated.
Through the mist, I saw a figure emerge, and with it, a darkness advanced, devouring and reshaping. And as the sunlight cast its final, everlasting shadow, I felt a chill rise from the abyss and eclipse the world.
Proving conduit is still there. But all right, so yeah, in 2020 the Triglavians upped their game and began invading. What followed was a series of fights over the very stars of New Eden itself. Systems could either be taken by the pro-Triglavian forces or pro-Edencom forces, depending on what the players were doing, and one by one we fought over the stars of New Eden. Stars that were blue or of type G5 yellow were able to proceed to the next stage. Other systems that were taken by one side or the other that could not proceed became what was known as minor victories. The ones that could proceed, however, became either final liminalities or Edencom fortresses. Final liminalities. Once a system became first liminality, which was when the Triglavians began to capture it, the system went from or became low sec, regardless of where it started. Once it hit final liminality, the system became null sec, regardless of what it was originally. Once 27 star systems was captured by the Triglavian Collective, the invasion ended, and Pakvin was formed.
The war in the Delta, or die. The Imperium has in recent years built up formidable defenses by constructing Eden. Empires of New Eden are slowly adjusting to the aftermath of the Stargate disruptions that severed the links to Triglavian-occupied systems and led to the formation of a new region called Poshbun. It is widely believed that the creation of an artificial region consisting of the 27 New Eden systems conquered by the invaders was the final act in the Triglavian campaign. Despite the cessation of invasions, Edencom's Provost Marshal Cassia Valkanir has secured ongoing funding for the organization from Concord and the four core empires, reiterating the need for vigilance.
New Eden's people have suffered many grievous blows and fought hard throughout the invasion. I have witnessed the strength of our fighters, the loyalty of our supporters, the persistence of our collective defense with my own eyes. I am proud of all of our people. Yes, Civilization has lost territory to the inhuman Triglavian invaders. Yes, we have lost many billions to naked aggression, treachery, and occupation. We must look to preserve what we have defended and remain vigilant. Even still, we cannot forget those who remain under the heel of the invaders. Edencom will continue to fight for their recovery and liberty. I welcome and deeply appreciate the continuing commitment of the Concord member states to the struggle.
Edencom's best minds in the fields of exploration, science, and military logistics are continuing to work on an effort to map the alterations to the space-time topology of the invaded systems, and New Eden in general. Though it is gravely dangerous, Edencom's forces continue to gather data on Poshfan systems, disrupt Triglavian operations, and seek means to navigate the region more effectively. Evacuation of the billions still trapped remains out of reach, but it is a highly political priority for the empires. For their part, the Triglavians have rapidly moved to assert even deeper control over the systems and worlds of Poshfan. Having divided the spoils between their three clades, there are disturbing and clear signs of vast changes being wrought in space and on the planets of the occupied systems. The Triglavians are opposed by Edencom, but also by resurgent drifter incursions, with hostile and highly advanced rogue drones also making their presence felt. As so often, the Triglavian spokesperson Zoria Triglav has broadcast a message asserting their dominion and apparently encouraging the treacherous Kybernauts, or Capsuleers, that have gone over to the Triglavian side.
We are Zoria Triglav. We speak for the convocation of Triglav outside this struggle. We continue the work of sublimation. Subordinate Kybernauts, hear the words of our prayer. Heed them. Totality and the weaving of Poshfan. The flow of has been anchored in the domain of Poshfan. Stabilization of the ancient domains proceeds. Cladistic dominion in glorification. Glorification has been invoked. Clouds within the struggle have imminence. Imminence in their cries. Foreign Narodnia, proving fitness to join the flow, shall be glorified. Shall be glorified. Kybernauts proving praxis of Poshlost extirpation shall be glorified. Subornost Kybernauts are exhorted to extirpate Poshlost elements. We continue the work of sublimation of Poshlost flow. We speak for the convocation of Triglav outside this struggle. We are Zoria Triglav.
All right, so let's take a step back. What are we looking at here? So while we were fighting, the forces on behalf of known space, a department of Concord known as Aegis unified the empires together in a single navy known as Edencom. You probably heard that name in there and listened to the leader, Cassia Valkanir. So Edencom is the United Efforts. It's New Eden Common Defense Initiative. It comprises of agents from all four empires. Why does any of this matter to you? Systems are now either... systems can be Triglavian minor victories, Edencom minor victories, or Edencom fortresses. If it is any of those three, that means that those forces defend and live in that system. You'll get a warning before you try to jump into them. They will be able to put up their own gate guns. They have roaming fleets. They guard the asteroid belts. And they can put up a special effect beacon on top of the sun that modifies everybody within the system. So on the Edencom side, the beacon will increase the tank type of the racial owner, the EWAR of the racial owner, and increase mining by about 10%. On the Triglavian side, it'll increase remote reps, cut your locks in half, and slow down your warp speed. So within those systems, those effects are in place. But it's the gate camps that are really nasty. Now, by default, you are neutral to Edencom. So if you've never done anything about this, then Edencom forces will not attack you. Triglavians will. Triglavians will attack you on sight. If you stay on grid with their war posts, which are their towers, it takes about 10 seconds for them to spool up. But once they do, they will blap you. And these ships, these guys, these forces will pod you as well. They are very fast locking rats too, and they're pretty smart, and they fly as a fleet. They can call upon backup, etc. If you attack Triglavian forces, you lose Triglavian standings and gain Edencom standings. If you attack Edencom forces, you lose Edencom standings and you gain Triglavian standings. If you gain more than 3.0 with either of them, then they become blue to you, and they will defend you and logistic you if they happen to be on grid with you, both Edencom and the Triglavians. However, there is a way to get your standings fixed once and for all, because a lot of people get killed accidentally in Triglavian minor victory systems because the Triglavians are hostile by default. But in Pokvin, which is the special 27 systems that the Triglavian Collective took, there are new Rogue Drone and Drifter forces. If you go into Pokvin and you kill Rogue Drones, even a single Rogue Drone, you will gain enough standings to raise Triglavian up while still raising Edencom up. And so now you'll be neutral to both of them, and neither side will ever attack you. So it is very much worthwhile to get together with a couple of people, grab some sniper corms, head into Pokvin, and try to kill some rogue drones at the very least. There's also sites and stuff that you can run while in there to do the same thing. Pokvin itself is like a super wormhole. It's 27 systems with no local. It does have structures, but your stations, but your access to the stations are limited to your Triglavian standings. The 3 home systems at the center of each of the cries, which are like the territories of the collective, are have a gate that can only be entered with a high security status, or sorry, a high status with the Triglavians. So here we can see that Kino, Archie, and Nyarja are the home systems, but all the rest of these can be traveled by anybody. All of the stargates that used to be connected to these systems have been cut off. What this means is, since Nyarja is right here, it means that the distance between Jita to Amar has gone from 8 jumps to 45 jumps, I think. So the connection between Jita and Amar has been seriously cut off by this change, among other things, right? All of these systems basically no longer are connected to the gate network. However, they are still physically located where they are. So, which leads to how you get in and out. You can get in and out either through wormholes or through filaments. The major wormholes, there are wormholes that will spawn within a certain range of each of these filament or each of these systems. So like within 3 jumps of any given system. So if you go, there's like 16 different systems that are within 3 jumps of Veil. There will be a wormhole in one of those 16 systems that lead to Veil. It's like they have inverse statics, right? And systems that have a connection to Veil, or sorry, to Pokvin, will have Triglavian rats roaming around, attacking people in belts, etc. So beware of that, too. This is another good reason why you want to become positive with the Triglavian Collective as well as Edencom. The other way to get in and out is through filaments. There are things called filaments. There are nullsec filaments, which we'll get to in a second, but then there's also these Triglavian filaments. There are ingressing and outgressing filaments. There are ingressing filaments for each type of thing. There's like internal system, border system, home system, and for the 3 different cries: Cry Velez, Cry Svarog, and Cry Perrin. When you use one, you get transported to a random Pokvin system that qualifies as one of the types that it is designed for. And then there's the extraction, or there's the two ways to get out. The Divana filament will take you to a random Triglavian minor victory, which can be all over the place in high sec and low sec. We can see the minor victory systems by going here to this is kybernaut.space, by the way. And you can click here, Triglavian minor victory. So these are all the different systems that a Divana filament might lead you to. And then there's the extraction filaments, and the extraction filaments bring you to a place within a few jumps of the Stargate that you were part of, right? So here is Edencom.space, which is kind of the other side of the coin. They have a lot of good information about on Edencom.space about how to work with Pokvin, how to get in and out of Pokvin, etc., etc. Kybernaut.space was mostly used during the invasion itself. But here, you can see, like, I can go, look, here is Harva. Harva can connect to Marima, Chara, Patscha, etc. So these are all the different systems that could connect to Harva, right? So the nice thing about Pokvin is it makes it so that you could actually be in, say, null security space. You can use one of the ingressing filaments to teleport to Pokvin, and then you can use an extraction filament to teleport out of Pokvin. And depending on how lucky you are, you could literally appear 2 jumps away from Jita, from anywhere outside of wormhole space. These filaments can't be used in wormhole space. There is another kind of filament that can be used that has nothing to do with Pokvin, that are known as noise and signal filaments. Those will teleport you to nullsec. So a signal filament will teleport you to a random active system, something that people have been ratting in, or something that has been working the system somehow recently. And a noise filament will take you to a random nullsec system, period. So noise filaments are really good if you're trying to find some place to explore. Signal filaments are really good if you're trying to find some place to kill or raid, right? And then you can use these Pokvin filaments to come home if you don't want to use wormholes. So lots of new ways of getting around, lots of new options, and this new region that is 27 systems of wormhole space that can be teleported in and out of using these filaments. It's really cool. There's a lot of stuff to it. It's been a long story. But in addition to this, structures and player structures cannot be built in Pokvin. So while there were structures there, slowly but surely all of the structures in Pokvin are being destroyed. Eventually, there will be no structures in Pokvin. And I personally believe that the stabilization of Pokvin will not complete until that happens. Likewise, there were capital ships that were in Lowsec when Pokvin formed, and therefore are still in Pokvin. There are individual Titans and Dreads and all this stuff like that in the Pokvin systems. Now, they could always jump out if they wanted to, but they can never get back in. So each one of those is likewise just as special. Yes, there is no local in Pokvin, just like a wormhole space. And all of them, every system in Pokvin have those bonuses to remote reps, reduction in warp speed, and lock times cut in half. All right. I think that's a lot of it. That's a lot of it. There's other things, like there's some new techniques, like there's now command destroyers. So battleships and battle cruisers can have a module now that allows them to jump 100 kilometers straight forward. Well, command destroyers have a module that they can use outside of HiSec that will allow them to teleport them and everyone within 6 kilometers of them that isn't scrammed 100 kilometers. So it's a good way to just grab a bunch of people and move them from point A to point B. Sorry, not everyone, up to 25 people. So you can use it to grab people out of their position. You can use it to move your own fleet, etc., etc. There's plenty of new tactics and whatnot within the game. There's, off-grid boosts have been removed, and now it's on-grid boosts. There's so many new tactical options and stuff like that as well. There's new fitting options, plenty of quality of life changes that have been made, too numerous to count. But I think that's about it as far as things go, which is good because I have a doorbell. So hold on, I'll be right back. Yay, batteries! All right. So that about wraps it up for what has been going on. I hope that this has been useful to you guys and that you got at least something out of this as far as things that you may not have known have changed. And hopefully I may have even saved a life or two out there with some of these updates. So as I've shown, like, CCP has put a lot of work into this game over the last few years, going through, making new systems, making really cool new stuff, but also going back and fixing older systems that have always been broken. So I can't wait to see you guys out there in EVE with me. If you... oh! There's actually one other huge thing to point out, which is the buddy code. If you have never used it before, if you've been gone, you can now use a buddy code to get 1 million free skill points unallocated. They actually have made catching up in EVE way easier. They've made it so that you can now extract skill points out of your own brain and sell them on the market, and then you can buy them and inject them into your own brain to get some free, or not free, but unallocated SP that you can use. But if you don't want to pay that money, you can get 1 million free SP, which is like 40 days of free-to-play training, or like 20 days of paid training. And even if you already have an account, as long as you have never used that code before, you can use the link, which should be below, to be able to gate that free 1 million skill points for yourself. So use that, get in there, get back involved. You can even pick up the weekend deal pack to be able to get a couple days of Omega to get in there, or just come on in. It's a free-to-play game now. Come check it out as an alpha. Get involved with faction warfare. It's awesome now, et cetera, et cetera. And come check out the new changes. There's more to come. I'm very excited, and I will be here to show you it all. But that is it for today. I have been Ashtarothi. Thank you guys so much for checking this out. Thank you for the viewers, for all the people that helped me put together the list in my alliance. Thank you to Convocation of Empyreans. And I'm specifically going to call out, I probably already did this before, so I'm going to call out Dutch Gunner as my big dude. Dutch Gunner is keeping together the Arydanika Research Consortium. This dude continually pushes the envelope when it comes to practical application of roleplay and embracing the nature of the universe. So thank you very much for Dutch Gunner to continuing to help out with Arydanika Research Consortium. If you want to get involved in the deep research of the lore, you should probably hit him up and maybe even consider joining their science research team. Otherwise, if you want to come fight or learn the game, you can join the Convocation of Empyreans. We are here to maximize player engagement with EVE Online and secure the southern half of the war zone for the Galente Federation through our organization of Aderon Robotics. But regardless, I hope to see you out there. I hope that you come back and have a good time, and this video helps you just a little bit in getting that to be a better experience. So thank you very much, especially to my patrons and supporters, especially Abyssus, Aikiwara Zuchan, Arydanika the Queen, BlackRoseNoble, Dajat Lemmont, Drake, Golden Age Stories, J. Kuhn, LM1, Malik Starfire, MidnightSpaceMonkey, NotJustFun, Seedsaplenty, Serenalen with no eyes, Syliana Vel'ash, Nephilim, Grendel, Zaul Nex, as well as Ebo1337 and Rid. Thank you guys so much. So much. These are the people, those names are the people that make me be able to do this. Somebody in chat was like, oh my god, you make sure to wear a seatbelt because, like, if you go away, then no one will be able to figure this stuff out. And I don't know if that's necessarily true, but let me tell you, if you like my work, thank these people. And if you want to ensure that my work continues, then you can join them on my Patreon or by becoming a member or putting out super thanks or super chats on my videos. But even if you don't do any of that, just by being here, watching my videos, sharing them around, and helping people find them is huge when it comes to not only just expanding the channel, but growing our overall understanding and literacy of the game, which, given a social game like this, only improves the quality of the game overall. So once again, thank you guys for coming on this journey with me. And I have been Ashtarothi, the voice of New Eden. I've been playing this game since 2010, talking about since 2012, and I'm here to put even to context for you, my fellow Empyreans. On that note, I've been Ashtarothi. Thank you for joining, and I'll see you in space. Also like the video. And scene. Yay! No, I'm not 100%. We're not 100% done. We're now going to do a wind down. We're now going to do a wind down. That was just the video. That was just the end of the video. Sweet. So, how'd that go, guys? What do you guys think? Oh shit, I should have pointed out that, like, if your stuff is now in a nullsec system and you swear to God it wasn't in a nullsec system, that's why. Your stuff might be in Pockman now. Don't forget to like and subscribe. I love you, Drake. I love you, Drake. You're a good dude. I mean, you're a terrible dude, but you're also a good dude. No secret hand signal. Oh shit, that's right. I'm sorry, dude. I'm the goddess. Terrible dude. Hey, the good is terrible dude. That's true. You're not the terrible dude that we deserve. You're just the terrible dude we need right now. Is that what it boils down to? When is the final chapter of Theodicy being posted? So you mean the only thing that's left is the epilogue. I can look into that today. I know that Arydanika has actually been kind of sick, I think. I don't really want to go too deep into it because it's her stuff, but she's been the one that was mostly focusing on the Theodicy stuff. But I can circle back on it and make sure that gets posted like within the next day or two. Yeah. I don't know if there's anything else. Tomorrow is Wednesday, so I'm not going to be streaming. Thursday, we're going to be looking at the Red Stargazer event. If it is just a lock-in event, I plan on just doing some faction warfare. If there is an event to figure out, then we'll be looking at that. Don't know what's going to happen on Friday, though. Maybe we'll do a reading. I'm open to ideas for topics or chronicles to read. I think it's going to be a login event, Asmodeus. We talked about it at the beginning. I think it's just going to be a login event, but there might be something else. It's for the Chinese New Year. All right. Any other questions, guys? Reading? You guys really like that shit, don't you? Awesome. Well, then more people should view them. I will say, like, I am amazed by how well the Come Back to Eve video, or the Eve 20, the 3 reasons to play Eve in 2023. That video is blowing up. Very happy about that. Hey, LM1 gifting 5 memberships. Thank you so much, man. There you go. Steve, Cookspon, John A, Container Records, and Lawrence Hanbrook. You now get all of those cool emotes. And you get the access to the members only, or the supporter only chat on Discord. And LM1 continues to just be certified good dude, man. Thank you, dude. I'm glad that I have you on my list of people that I read every single time. I'm sure this is not the first time you've done that. That's very cool. And you get the cool emotes, which apparently I now need to make a Ash distracted emote, which, fair enough. That's very cool. Very cool. Yeah, this is my full-time, this is what I do. And I've said this before, and I don't want to get too mushy about it because, you know, I don't want to get mushy about it every single time. But, you know, I raise a 9-year-old autistic son, boy. So this job, even though it isn't as good paying as a lot of other jobs, especially, you know, software development job that I could potentially have, it offers me the freedom to be the father that I need to be, given the fact that I'm, you know, basically solo parenting him. So on the one hand, I'm incredibly grateful to be able to participate with you guys and make this content for you guys and help. And I see, like, I get thanks all the time, and people tell me about how I've helped them out, both in Eve and out, and that is what I do it all for. But at the same time, it also affords me an opportunity to be who I need to be for my son. And I can't thank you guys enough for that. It's awesome. All right. Enough of being mushy. We don't have anything else. I think I'm gonna be going. Which is why you should slap it. I did an ad like not too long ago. We can do one more ad and then we'll head out. How about that? All right. Shit. You know what's funny? I feel like the problem is, oh, you know what? I'm going to do something else. We're going to do something else to finish off the stream. This is going to be kind of on the fly. I want to show you guys. I talk about my game a lot. I want to show you guys it. You want to see my game? Let me pull it up. I hope I have it ready to go. Oh no. Do I not have it ready to go on this computer? Well, suck. Maybe I'll show it to you guys next time. Let me see. I've spent so much time getting on my own back for not remembering to show you guys this thing that maybe I didn't even get it set up on this computer yet. That's exciting. Okay, here we go. Oh no! No? Okay. There we go. Alright, so shooting the same element destroys things. Shooting different elements swaps them. Okay? Cool.
Level 1.
Uh-oh. Oh, shoot. Ha! Hold on. total screw it, let's do it live moment, right? All right. It's a puzzle game. Okay, so see, I can swap them, or I can destroy something. And if I shoot a crystal, then it'll start spawning something. Okay? Now, my goal is to actually stack 3 of the same type of thing together. Right? Like this looks the same, yellow and blue. This, here we go. So now I've got 3 blues. I can pop them, and that spawns this thing there. That's a Metatron's cube. Metatron's cubes are very, very valuable because they'll destroy all copies of the same thing on the board. Now, the game gets faster as you go, so I don't want to use it yet. But I'm going to build them up because once it gets past level 3, level 6 and level 9 are the fastest levels. So what I want to do is kind of work my way along. There you go. I want to work my way along while also building up as many Metatron cubes as possible until I hit level 3.
Level 3.
There. Now I pop them. A little bit of strategy for you. Now, as you can see... Oh, shoot, you can't see. As you can see in the bottom right, I have a little multiplier. The multiplier continues to burn down, and it increases based on the number of things that you pop at the same time. So in order to get the most score, it's not just about winning, it's about getting these big combos and blowing things up. Now that I'm in level 4, it kind of brings things back down a little bit, but it introduces a 4th element. There it is. It's the green one.
Level 5.
So it's based on a game called Zoop, which came out in like the Super Nintendo era. So yeah. That's probably why it has that vibe. It'd be really embarrassing if I didn't at the end. What? Shit. What have I done?
Level 6.
I want to get to level 7.
Level 7.
There we go. So now I get the 5th element. Which is white. You can see that the colors along the outside edge represents the different colors that are spawning. Ugh. Am I going to be playing Eve today? No, I'm playing this and then I'm wrapping it up. I will be playing Eve after the stream. Oh no! No, no, no! I just want to get to level 9. That's all. So once I hit level 9, level 9 is the last level. So rather than continue to proceed, what I do is speed up the game more and more and more until you no longer can manage it. And that's your final result.
Level 9.
Here we go. So as time goes on, this place is going to get crazier and crazier and crazier. And you'll see, like, there's chromatic aberrations along the corners. There's all kinds of, like, everything kind of goes more and more wonky as time goes on. To the point where it actually becomes harder and harder to control things because of how fast you're now moving. No! Ah! There you go. So there's my score. That's it. You can get this game free for at itch.io. Thanks for giving me the time to show it to you.
Level 1.
Oh. So that's it. I hope you guys check it out. That'd be really neat. Can you have a link to the game? Yeah, I linked it right there. Yeah, so the Mimitar Victory skin just looks like the new ships that have been given out. Right? Like the AT ships. Just the same skin. And just like the other one, it affects all of the Mimitar line, right? Or at least not all of it, but like there's like 7 or 8 ships that all get the skin. If you just apply the one skin, which is pretty cool. All right. That's it for me. I've been Asherothi. I've been playing this game since 2000. Well, not this game. I'm playing Eve since 2010. We already did this shtick. I love you guys. I will see you hopefully on Thursday, or I'll see you in space. And I'm actually going to be hopping in chat in comms like immediately after this or shortly thereafter. So feel free to hop into the COE comms if you want to come say hi. COE, not com. And if you need my code, there's a link to the COE page and a link to my Eve code. Okay, I love you. Bye-bye. Whoops.
Bring on the wrecking machine. every city